Well, thank you, ladies. We're glad you came and chose our workshop. I'm Liz Steckler. I've been in Women's Radiance for 25 years, and I've been leader on Tuesday nights. You can't hear me. What are you supposed to do?
How about me?
Oh, so I have to try. I have to get shorter.
Just wait.
Okay.
Shorter.
Those days are coming. So my name is Liz, and I'm with Women's Ministry, and I've been in Radiance for 25 years as a leader. And you're Nancy.
And I'm Nancy Flannery, short one. And I've been in Calvary for about 30 years. A lot of that time was spent with high school girls in the Radiance, and I see some of them here, and I even saw Sarah Smith, who was here, used to be Join Me, was wonderful. But anyway, we're here and so glad you're here. Okay. And we immediately made you all friends. All friends.
Okay. We're here to talk about
friendship.
Okay, the first problem in the world was not sin, it was solitude. When Genesis 2, the Lord said, it's not, I'm going to move her around, I'm going to have to stop doing that. The Lord said it's not good for man to be alone. So he created her perfect helpmate. And he created Eve, not just to be his wife, but to be his friend. Okay. Proverbs also warns that one who isolates himself breaks out against all wise, sound judgment. That's Proverbs 18:1.
Again, we're so glad you came. We have been praying and praying and praying for you, and I can't tell you the difference in just seeing your faces. It's just wonderful. By the way, I'm standing on my toes.
Move it down.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm standing on my toes. Anyway, it's a blessing. Friendship is a blessing. And it's just a wonderful blessing that God has given us. So today, needless to say, we can't cover everything you ever wanted to know about friendship, okay? But we're going to share with you today with some highlights and some personal stories about some of the different types of friendships. There are different types, and yet God in his wisdom and his glory has taken these friendships and used them in our lives. So I encourage you, while we talk about these different types, that you think back to the people, the friends in your family who God has used mightily in your life. So let's go before the giver of all perfect gifts, friends too. So let's just pray. Dear Heavenly Father, just be with us today. I am so thankful for all these women, Lord, and for the gracious gift you give of friendship. We just pray, Father, that you would guide and direct everything that's said here, and that we would see your glory, as Sheila said, and to you we give the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
So what is friendship? Friendship is taught short people. So what is friendship? Walter Winchell said that friendship, a real friend, is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the only way to have a friend is to be a friend. And Aristotle said, wishing to be a friend is quick work, but friendship is a slow ripening fruit. These are all good insights into what friendship is, but the real definition of friendship, all you need to do is look to the Bible. From cover to cover, God shows true friendship. Proverbs gives us examples of what a friend is and what a friend is not. In Proverbs 17:17, it states that a friend loves at all times. So we'd like to tell you about what it means to be a friend, the commitment it takes, the joy it brings, and the various levels of friendship, as Nancy said. So let's see where you fit in.
As we said, all friendships are different because we're different people. But God in his wisdom has brought them into your life for a purpose. And we do not serve a purposeless God. So, what we're going to do today, maybe some of you have know of the concentric circle that it shows in the center is where you abide and where your close friend is. And then the other circles go out. Well, Liz and I would like to introduce you to our theme, okay? The road. This is something you can all relate to. Freeway 15. This is this is the friendship freeway. And as you see, we have different lanes. And sometimes it just friendship accommodates itself to the road because you got in and out ramps, you have lanes where people change back and forth. So you have construction, and we all know construction. And so if you look at the lanes closest to the in and out are the interpersonal. Then comes lane 3, which are the acquaintances. And then comes lane 2, which are the casual friends. And then lane 1, that's this lane. That's the lane where you and I travel life. And that's where the close friend comes in. We're going to talk about the close friends. So it's an exciting time. And we're hoping that you see the road.
Okay, I thought it was my phone. It's like, that's really bad if I leave my phone on. So let's get on the road. We're going to slowly merge into friendship here. We're going to enter into the interpersonal relationship. And that's how people you relate to in like work projects or school projects that you might be involved with. But they're not really very close. You may know their name, but you don't really know much about them. So these are casual friends, and they could change. They could move into another lane as life goes on, or they could exit the freeway altogether, and you never have any relationship with them. One of the things about casual friends, oh, that's not what I already said. Okay, one of the things I wanted to mention about casual friends is the social media friends. We all think these are our friends, but the world calls them influencers for a reason, because they influence what you buy, what you wear, how you dress, who your other friends will be, and what you do to exercise, what your religious and political affiliation is. These are not your friends. They don't even know you.
Then we get to acquaintances. Ladies, this is your biggest lane, your fullest lane. And and the neat thing is, the acquaintances, and some of you in here have a friend that was an acquaintance and you cultivated it and you grew it. And now it's a good friend, a good friend. So that's encouraging. These may be people you work with, you go to school with. Down at our post office, there's a guy down there. I know he's kind and friendly. I know he's a Christian, and I know he's very helpful, but I don't know him. So acquaintances, you know of them, but you don't know them. And that's the one place where you can get them is work, school, neighbors, and church. Church is a great place. And I got to tell you, I am a greeter, and I have to tell you about a little habit you have. I have to tell you. When I talk about people you want to get acquainted with, those are the people you sit around. And as I say, you always go to the same seat. So you should know these people. But I'll leave you a little tip. You also go to the same door. Same door you go in. But, and these are people who are going to come and go in your life. They're just going to come and go. But again, God's got a purpose for these people. And I got to tell you, sometimes, and as a greeter, Liz is here. She knows too. Sometimes they need a hug. They really do. And you can tell, instead of putting out their hand, they come with their arms out. And sometimes they need a smile. And I have to tell you, I heard the neatest thing the other day with a smile. This is people who are missionaries, not missionaries, but they are evangelists in Jerusalem. And she said how they connect with somebody is they smile. Smile. And she said, a smile breaks separation and brings connection. I suggest try it in Winco. I did. I did. Try it in Winco. But anyway, they need a hug, they need a smile. And sometimes you can see on their face they have sorrow. And sometimes they even want prayer right then and there. And they want, sometimes they need fellowship. Women need fellowship. Women need it. And so offer them Radiance, the women's Bible study. And they're going to get a twofer in Radiance because they not only have fellowship with women, they have fellowship with the Lord because they study his word. So, and acquaintances now, a full lane.
Now we're going to move a little faster on the freeway.
Okay.
So we're in casual friends. These are the people you know regularly, your neighbors, your gym buddies, people you've grown up with over the years, people you've gone to school with forever. You share personal information with them, but not in depth. I wanted to tell you how, in my situation, a personal friend, I had neighbors, they're Johnny and Barbara. We would sit out in their front yard like people used to do, or maybe that was a back east thing. We'd sit out in our front yard and we'd talk to each other and just get to know each other a little bit. One day, Barbara came over to my front door and she knocked on the door and she said, Johnny's ill and he won't go to St. Mary's because he doesn't like that hospital. Could you drive him down to Kaiser in Fontana? I said, sure. So I loaded him into the back of my car and we're driving down through the pass and I hear this death rattle in the back seat. It sounded kind of like, ah! And I thought, oh, dear Lord, please don't get me for elder abuse for taking because he died in my car on the way to the hospital. I should have taken him to St. Mary's. But no, he did make it all the way down there. And his daughter met us there, so she took over the care. But as years gone on, then Johnny did pass on and went to see the Lord. But Barbara, who married him when she was 16, was very lost because all her children were grown and out of the state, except ones who lived down the hill. But she didn't have really many friends, and she didn't like to drive. So that's why I drove. But I would go in. Our mailboxes were located like 2 blocks away, so I'd go pick up her mail for her, and I'd take her to the store to get her groceries, and we'd always go out to lunch or something. She always liked to go to Steer and Stein. Not my favorite, but but it was hers. So, but because every time we went in there, they would make a fresh pot of coffee for her because we were regulars, and she liked coffee with her hamburger. So go ahead.
Okay, now we come to lane 1. And these are close friends. The Lord brings them into your life, and some come for a season. I have had some friends come for a season. Then some friends last a lifetime. I got a couple of them, except we're getting shorter here. And then we have those who move away. They're still a close friend, but you don't have that, oh, let's go to coffee or let's have lunch. But I found out last night, because you've heard the saying, oh, when we get together, we pick up right where we left off. And I thought, how can that be? I can't share all this. But I got the answer last night. One of the friends, and it's Patty, who moved to Texas and she's back. She said, it's so comfortable here. And I thought, that's why we connect. I don't have to establish that comfort anymore. I don't have to establish that trust anymore. I don't have to establish that security of being there anymore. But I'd like to bring you a little bit of a reality in a close friendship. And there's one word, and it's time. Time. I was looking in Psalm 31:15, and this is something you all, I'm sure, have said, I don't know how many times. My times are in his hand. And so we have to know that God, in his time, will bring that friend. Because there's seasons in our life that are so busy, there would be no time for a close friend. A close friend takes time. And his no, I was in my 40s till I had my first friend, my first close friend. And it was life problems, families, relationships, but time is valuable. And the second thing, and this is kind of odd how the Lord used this verse in Job. This is the second reality of close friendship. Job 42:5 says, I have heard of you by the hearing of my ear. Now my eye sees you. I'll connect that with you. A friend of mine texted me. I was struggling, and it was some dumb thing that women struggle over, not earth shattering or anything like that. But she knew it. She texted me. She said, I know you're struggling with this. I know you. LOL, which shows you how serious it was. But I thought she knows me through coffee, through lunch, through knees, through shoulders, through heart, all this. It took time. And that's what I think that verse with Job really spoke to me. That was chapter 42. It took Job 42 chapters to say that. But now my eye sees you. And it's just amazing. But sharing is another component, sharing. And I thought of that verse in Romans 12:13. You reap with some who reap, and you rejoice with some who rejoice. Sometimes you're the rejoicer, sometimes you need rejoicing. But anyway, there's also shared values that you need. You need a value is love of the Lord, love of his word, love of the Christian community. You can't do that with somebody who doesn't share your values. And then comes humor. Ladies, you got to laugh. You got to do dumb stuff. You have to. You have to have fun. I love fun. I love fun. But it weighs that heavy heart time. And there will be heavy heart times, experiences. Job, look at all the experiences he had till he got to the 42nd chapter. And until you have experiences and loyalty. Friends, you have to have your friends back. It's important to have your friends back and support. Be there, hold them up, lift them up, encourage them. And then this is not a sharing thing, but I thought it's important. Listening. We women have a tendency when somebody wants to tell us something and they need help. Oh, I can fix it. We love to fix. But most of the time, the friend needs to just listen. Listen to me. Liz and I had an idea with our streets. I'm going to merge the 15 and the Friendship Freeway. And I'm going to use it with road signs. Okay? Now, these are road signs. Dips. Peach Street. I don't travel that road. I don't like that road. But anyway, I even saw a warning sign out of there because you don't know what's coming. I will tell you, ladies, your friend, your close friend is human, and they're going to blow it. They're going to say the wrong word. They're going to have a misunderstanding. They're going to blow it. You're human. So what you do, you take it to the Lord, you talk it to each other, and then you go back till the next time you blow it. And then comes the big orange sign, road work ahead. God will be working in both of your friendships to draw you closer to him. And sometimes I think about Job in his verses. He got to know the Lord because he said, now my eye sees you. But I would dare to say, Job also got to see himself. Like Isaiah, when he saw the Lord high and lifted up, And then a couple of verses down, he says, woe is me. So I think that's too. And sometimes a close friend shows me myself. And ladies, like Sheila said, it is not a pretty picture. It's that iron sharpening iron. I will tell you about a friend. She doesn't know I'm going to say this. I'm surprising her. Did you ever hear the phrase, I can't see the forest for the trees? She sees the forest. I get stuck in the trees and all the underbrush on the ground so that I can trust her. Then lane changes up here on the 15 at Oak Hills. Old lines out, new lines in, and you can't figure out which way you're going. But in a friendship, a close friendship, ladies, there's going to be changes. I got one coming in a 40-year friend. And you adjust you're going to change. Your life's going to change. And so you adjust that friendship. And then the final one is stop. And this verse is also faithful are the wounds of a friend. And she's not in here right now. And I have her, I have her permission. One day I was sitting in, we had a meeting, and I was sitting at a pew in church, kind of by myself. Patty Seifert, Sheila's sister, a lot of you know her. She came down and sat beside me, and I just got a new haircut. And she looked me straight in the eye and she said, Nancy, I really don't like your new haircut. Talk about the wounds of a friend. However, I knew that what she said was done in love, and she knew that I would take it in love. And actually what she did, she saved me from disaster. I never got that haircut again. Liz has a neat story about a friend.
Who's not here too.
She's not here.
So I can tell my friend's story too. Yeah. I have a very close friend, Vicky. We've celebrated more birthdays together than I care to remember. She'd like me to tell you the story about when I babysat her dog. It was a true test of friendship, but we're still friends. But every year we get together on the 4th of July, and I'm sorry if I walk away. And we'd go, after we go watch the fireworks, we'd get in her golf course because she lives on a golf course, and we get in the golf cart and we drive around at night under the sprinklers, and we try to avoid getting wet. And we would laugh ourselves to death. And it's amazing. We never flipped it, and we never got caught. Nobody. So. And this year, her brother and his sister-in-law joined us, and we were walking. And we were running through the sprinklers, and the sister-in-law said, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "I need material for my workshop this week." But our friendship is truly based on the value of God, our belief in God, our church family, and just the belief in what's right and wrong. I can always count on her. I know she's always there for me. We've been through medical things together and deaths and emergencies. I know she'll always be there for me. Even in the middle of the night, I can count on her.
There's one last thing before we go into another is time again. And this, ladies, you got to cultivate that friendship. Just like a garden, you got to water it. You got to hoe it. You've just got to create that friendship. And Liz has an example for you.
This is obviously a Plant Nancy group, okay? Because for those who know me, I have a very brown thumb. Nothing lives. So this is an example of good friendship. You nurture it, you prune it, you give it the right sunlight. And this is an example of my friendships, okay? This is what happens when you don't water the plant, when you forget about it, and this is how it feels. This is how you feel. This is how your friend feels when you don't take care of them.
Some of my girls in here remember this, because this is what, their friendships to them are so valuable. We fell down.
And you helped me back up.
And I helped you. We're true friends. But I used to use it for the girls because a lot of times visuals. I'm visual. Don't give me a fat book. give me a picture. And a lot of times the pictures mean a lot. So anyway, but it has to be called. That was in my garage. That I had to watch it die. But it was a good picture. A good- Huh? What? Oh, but
We needed a dead plant.
we needed. I went to Lowe's and I said to the lady, I have a dumb request. And I have a dumb request. I went to Lowe's and I said, I need a dead plant. And she looked at me, but you know what? It was an interesting time because I told her what I needed it for. So the Lord was even in hunting dead plants, you know. Oh, no.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Okay. Not all friendships are good. Sometimes you know these people are not good to be around. They badmouth your other friends. They're judgmental. They lead you away from your family. They corrupt you, and they corrupt your values. This kind of friendship is not good for either of you. I want to give you an example of when I was growing up, and I was a sophomore in high school. Always a good time. At that point, I had gone to I went from first grade to ninth grade, all with the same people. Then my family moved, so in my sophomore year, I was in a new school. So the people who knew me before knew I was a nerd before nerd was a word. Uh, but these new people didn't know me, so I thought I'm going to be a cool person this time. I can be cool. So went to a new school, and I found the cool kids. Shortly after that, my mother sat me down and said, these friends you have are not good for you. If you continue to hang out with them, I am going to quit my job and I'm going to go to school with you every day. And I will have lunch with you and I will handcuff myself to you if I need to. And she could have because my father was a policeman, so we had handcuffs. So it could be happened. So I trusted my mother's judgment and I swiftly changed my ways.
Just like the friendships, like a garden again, we get weeds. We do get weeds. And sometimes you have to pull that weed. And I have found personally, if I don't get the root out, I get the weed back. So this can happen in a friendship, and it takes discernment, it takes prayer, it takes wisdom that the Lord will give you. There are certain verses, 1 John 4:1, test the spirit to see it's of God. And secondly, 1 Corinthians 15:33, bad company corrupts good morals. And then the last one, again, we have another demonstration for you. I used to use this one with the girls. I use this one with the girls too. I have this lovely bowl of strawberries. Lovely.
My strawberry in her bowl. Is,
That takes friendship.
will her bowl of strawberries make my strawberry good? No, let's stick it right there. See if it comes good.
I used to say, now, question, will the good strawberries make this one better? Or will the good, what, well, it won't. And we want to sometimes when we have a friend, we want that to happen. But you have to test it with the Spirit. You have to discern it. And so, because the rotten strawberry will pollute that whole bowl. And it's not just you, it will pollute, it will spread. It will spread. Okay.
So Proverbs 13:20 tells us that the wise walk with the wise, and you will be wise. Companions of the fool will suffer harm. There's another group of friends that we haven't discussed, and those are friendship with non-believers. These are people who are in everybody's life. They're important to understand the nuances and changes in those friendships because we need to show them God's love. We need to share our beliefs with them in genuine conversations and interactions, not preaching. We need to live out our faith. We must maintain a healthy balance between friendship and be sure that you're not being unduly influenced by their worldly values. Your actions need to represent Christ.
I have a neat story about an unbeliever, but it has a happy ending. My first job on the nursing floor, and I went to school when I was in my later years. Um, I was my first day, and it was her. She had come out of retirement for 14 years, and so they had cliques on the nursing floor, and nobody wanted the new ones. So she and I got stuck together, and we found out we had a good time. And her name is Julie, and I've got her permission also. Um, she was of the faith that works to get her to heaven. I was a new Christian. I had no idea what I was doing. What I was saying, oh, the Lord did this and the Lord did that, and look at this verse and look at that verse. And then I was coming down, I can still see it in my mind. I was coming down the aisle and she was at her med cart and she looked at me and she said, "You know the Lord differently than I do." And as a new Christian, how do I answer? I don't know. What do you do? And then the Lord put it in my mouth because it heard it come out. And I said to her, if you could work your way to heaven, why did Jesus have to die on that cross? And she said, I never thought of that. And ladies, with unbelievers, we think they know all this and they don't. Now, I'll make a long story short. She got saved. Her husband got saved. Her 2 kids got saved. Her 7 grandchildren got saved, and they're in ministries. And I can't keep track of her great grandchildren, but they're all being raised under the admonition of the Lord. And that's just because and you can tell I like to talk. So I was just telling her all the wonderful, I didn't have to say, if you don't believe, you know what's going to happen. No, just be yourself and share what the Lord's doing with them.
One of the, we're close. One of the most precious gifts from God is friendship. However, there's some buts built into that statement. But we can't look to them to provide for us what only God can provide for us. And the second but is that we need to be used by God to provide for them, to help them and bring joy into their lives. Non-believers will never be as close a friend as a believer because they don't share the same values. They can't come beside you and pray with you. They can't ask for God for wisdom because they just don't know God. So we need to keep that in mind like with Nancy's friendship, our beliefs can rub up on them.
And there was one thing that goes back to the cultivating. And you know how sometimes Lord just has somebody say something and they don't have a clue what they're saying or how it goes. But when that cultivating the garden, this motivational speaker, I guess he said, if I don't text, we don't talk. If I don't reach out, then all I have is silence. And if I stop trying, there's nothing to hold us together. So just think of that with your friends. That's where it takes time, ladies.
So read Proverbs carefully with thinking about friendship, because that is a large part of Proverbs does speak of friendship. So we're in the highway of life. Are you? Remember, God's timing is perfect in bringing friends into our lives and taking them away. It's a two-way street. You have to be a friend to have a friend. Friendship has a cost. Are you willing to wait to spend your time? I was going to say waste your time. Are you willing to spend your time? The heart of friendship is conversation.
Forgive her for that one.
Always. Okay.
There's another reminder. There's going to be disappointments in a friendship. Evaluate your expectations of this friendship. And remember, your friend is human. There are going to be bumps. And then this 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, have fervent love one for the other, and love will cover a multitude of sins. 3 weeks ago. You know how often you read the Bible? I've been reading the Bible for 40 some years. But this verse, it stuck out to me. It says, I always say, Lord, love covers a multitude of sins. Maybe you do. But this verse says, love will cover a multitude of sins. That means I have to love fervently and then it will cover. But that in itself was how we read the word and we miss that. I missed that little word. But it takes fervent love. It takes fervent love.
So, friends makes one's life meaningful and colorful. Cherish your friends and the time you spend with them because they are the influencers of the future you. Friends are the family you choose that stand by you in every situation, no matter what. To sum it up, good friends are one of the most wonderful treasures God gives us. Jesus chose us to be his friend in John 16. No longer do I call you servants, now I call you friends. So we thank you for coming and being here. If I was going to say, if you have any questions, Nancy will be happy to answer them for you.
I got to tell you, ladies, before you go, I'm going to tell them about the detour. I got to tell you about one more sign, and I took it out, and it was called Detour. I'm up here on a detour. This was her idea. I'm on a detour. But it's been wonderful, wonderful having you. I hope our prayer was that the Lord would fill your needs, give you ideas, and help you appreciate the wonderful gift he's given you. And make a new friend today that you don't know. That's what Jackie said.